Hello everyone and welcome to The Fine Feminine. My name is Naira and I'll be your host. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share the channel, as well as hit that notification bell so you never miss out on new content. So let's get into today's topic, the Madonna whore complex. Now this may be a foreign term to most of you, as it was to me before I realized what it was, but it's something that is very prevalent in the Black community and very prevalent in today's media as well. So I wanted to really shed a light of awareness on this and hopefully combat some of the damage that it has done to communities, especially communities of color. But before we can get into the nitty-gritty of what the Madonna whore complex is, I deem it necessary to create some groundwork and give you guys context. So today I'm going to give you 3 definitions that I feel are most important to understanding the Madonna whore complex and how to go about combating it. The first definition is for patriarchy. Patriarchy is a system of society or government in which men hold the power and women are largely excluded from it. Feminism. Feminism is the advocacy of women's rights on the basis of equality of the sexes. Womanism. Womanism, a form of feminism that emphasizes women's natural contribution to society, used by some in distinction to the term feminism and its association with white women. So now that we have laid the groundwork for those 3 terms of patriarchy, feminism, and womanism, we can finally delve into the Madonna whore complex. In psychoanalytic literature, a Madonna whore complex is the inability to maintain sexual arousal within a committed, loving relationship. This was first identified by Sigmund Freud, who is an infamous neurologist, and he has quite a bit of controversial theories, but in my opinion, this is one theory that he 100% got right. Freud once said in reference to the Madonna whore complex that where such men love, they have no desire, and where they desire, they cannot love. So to make the Madonna whore complex as simple as possible, it is simply a man that cannot see women outside of either being the Madonna, good girl, and a whore, bad girl. And I'm going to get into the examples. I'm going to get into how to identify it. We're going to get into all of the nitty-gritty. So for a Madonna, the oldest version that I can think of being a Madonna is literally Virgin Mary. She is a virgin. She is pure. She's untainted by man. She's untouched. So that translates into real world relations as to a woman that's a virgin, a woman that has a low to no body count, a woman that doesn't partake in like certain sexual acts. So, she might just be a missionary type of girl. She might not partake in oral sex or any anal sex or any risky behavior, quote unquote. She's never talking to men. These are your housewives. These are your pick-me's. And I don't mean that as shade. It just is what it is. A pick-me is a modern day Madonna. And what I can relate that to in a celebrity sense is Ayesha Curry. And she's a perfect example of what it means to be a quote unquote Madonna. So moving on to our whore. Our whore, the oldest version I can think of that is Mary Magdalene. I mean, she was a prostitute, so we have a sex worker, the exact opposite of what a Virgin Mary is. So she does have sex with men. So that is considered dirty. That is considered tainted. In a real world sense, that is normal sex workers. That can be your Instagram models. That could be just women who like to dress up sexily. That could be a woman that enjoys twerking and enjoys having attention. This could be a woman that's outgoing. This could be a woman that's powerful and strong and not passive and very active. And not giving and very taking. So you have this dichotomy of where the 2 parts fight, but every woman has aspects of both women, the Madonna and the whore inside of her. So I don't want women to watch this video and feel like, I have to pick a side. I have to be one or the other. You don't. You don't have to pick a side. And we're going to get into why, and why you should not pick a side, and why you should reject being compartmentalized as a woman in today's society. When it comes to the impact that the Madonna whore complex has on not only men, but women, it's very vast. So I want to separate them into two. So when Freud talked about the Madonna whore complex in its inception, he really simplified it, and he didn't put a lot of thought into it, in my opinion. He just said that it's just caused by a split between the affectionate and the sensual aspects of, men's mind and men's desire. And it's so simplified that it doesn't make sense. It's unrealistic. There's a reason why we go through these things. There's a reason why these things occur in nature. And another psychoanalyst, Richard Tuch, suggested that Freud offered at least one alternative explanation for the Madonna whore complex. He said that this earlier theory is based not on Oedipal-based castration anxiety, but on man's primary hatred of women, stimulated by the child's sense that he had been made to experience intolerable frustration and or narcissistic injury at the hands of his mother. According to this theory, in adulthood, the boys turned man seeks to avenge these mistreatments through sadistic attacks on women who are stand-ins for mother. So all of this to say that when a man, when he was a child, his mother was either neglectful, abusive, or just plain old didn't live up to his standards of what a mother should be, he will go out into the world and express that within his romantic relationships, as well as with his attitudes towards women. So how does this happen within relationships? How do men go about, navigating this Madonna whore dichotomy in this cycle? What happens? How can we identify it? What happens is you have a man with a lack of nurturing. That's the base. Then he will go out and seek women with maternal qualities because he's trying to fill that void. He's trying to get that nurturing. He's trying to experience intimacy. And what will happen is he will get that. He will get that intimacy. He will get that nurturing. He will get all of that. And all of those repressed feelings from his childhood will resurface. And he will act out. And it will prevent him from being sexually satisfied within that relationship that he's experiencing a nurturing level of intimacy in. So because these type of men who suffer from a Madonna whore complex are so uncomfortable with vulnerability, so uncomfortable with attachment because they have never experience what it's like to have a fulfilling attachment to a woman, they will self-sabotage. They will have a hard time committing. They will have unrealistic expectations for the women in their life. They will have that fear of getting too attached. And these are the men that will cheat. They will be serial cheaters. Because they will start to see the woman that they have coveted, which it becomes their Madonna. She starts to resemble his mother. He starts to see his mother in her, the closer and the more intimate that they get, which is probably something that many of you have dealt in relationships with men, is that once you start getting closer, they run away. And it's because they have a Madonna whore complex. So when they run away, what they're hoping to do is cause excitement. And this comes up with like causing arguments in which, you will say, hey, well, I don't want this anymore. I don't want this relationship anymore. And that will resurge that level of desire into them because like Freud said, Where such men love, they have no desire, and where they desire, they cannot love. So they are constantly going through this push and pull of not knowing why they're feeling this way, not knowing why they feel like commitment equals, the death of desire. And this goes into marriage and why men have those attitudes towards marriage as if, once you get married, all the fun's over, all the fun stops, and they act out. It all comes down to the Madonna whore complex. So when a man will go out and seek that whore for that excitement because there is no level of intimacy, everything is new, everything is strange, they leave their woman at home. And this tends to create a relationship in which both partners can end up cheating. And the Madonna will go and seek that physical comfort elsewhere, because it's not that the men that suffer from a Madonna whore complex are innately or inherently bad. It's just that they are bad at that aspect. So they can treat her like a queen, treat her like a princess, treat her and adore her, give her the most wonderful. You will probably see them on Instagram. You will see the men that are married and they look happily married, but then you find out that they're in another girl's DM, or it comes out that they were cheating because of that level of excitement they won't get anymore. And it forces the woman to say, hey, where do I stand in all this? I don't want to give you up because I love how you treat me. You just aren't physically intimate with me. And this really affects men in the long term. Men who suffer from a Madonna whore complex will have a really hard time staying in committed relationships because they will continuously want to create that cycle of seeking a woman who is exciting, then nurturing that relationship with her to get that intimacy from them that they lacked as a child, just to go about having those repressed feelings surface yet again, and then sabotage it and ruin it. So it is a cycle, and it's a cycle that is so prevalent in the Black community, in the Black media, and it affects everyone. So now I want to talk about the impact that the Madonna whore complex has on women specifically. Now, in a world where we have patriarchy, that's going back to the terms earlier in the video, patriarchy puts men first. It puts their opinions first, it puts their feelings first, and unfortunately, it puts their complexes first. So women have to deal with men who have this complex on a daily, in our dating life, in our work life, in media, law enforcement. It touches everything. So when you have a world in which operates inside of the Madonna whore complex, it takes away the woman's right to choose. So a woman can't choose to one day and wake up and be another aspect of the dichotomy, not without someone trying to tell her about it. And I'm going to get into real world examples later, but I really want to drive it home that it takes away women's right to choose. And women should always be able to choose who she wants to be when she wakes up in the morning. It also places unrealistic expectations on women. So when you have a woman that the world deemed to be a Madonna, or a woman that is deemed to be a whore, whenever they start to challenge the status quo, it comes with a bunch of pushback, which again, I'm going to get into those examples later. And not only that, it increases the level of infidelity and unsuccessful relationships that women have to partake in. The emotional toll that being in a Madonna whore complex relationship with a man can take on you is very harmful to your self-esteem and to your confidence. And it will make you second guess every decision that you make, because there's a possibility that, hey, my partner might judge me. If I want to go out to the club with my friends, he might judge me. If I used to be sexy and sexual and one day I don't want to give him sex, he's going to, reject me in some type of way later down the line and judge me. So it puts these unrealistic expectations on women that end up forcing women to deal with partners who aren't faithful and who will always be seeking, because like I said earlier in the video, men with the Madonna whore complex are always seeking that excitement while needing that safe emotional space. So now that you know all about the Madonna whore complex, I want to drive the points home with celebrity examples that we all know, and we've seen the articles, and it's always funny to me looking back on it now that I know what the Madonna whore complex is, because every time I see, black men in the media when it has to do with subjects of infidelity, it always comes down to this. And I feel like if more people knew and were aware of this issue in the black community, we could have healthier relationships, and we could have more fulfilling relationships and more long-term relationships. So I have 3 examples of men in black media who display the Madonna whore complex individually outside of their relationships. The first one is Michael B. Jordan. A few years ago, he was doing promotion for a film that I believe was about dating, and they asked him his opinion, and I don't know what the question was, but he basically came out and said that if a woman has sex with him on the first night, he will not want to be with her. And that's classic MWC. That's classic not being able to see women as being both righteous and sexual, and you can be both. And he struggles with that because if you had sex with him on the first night, he would not see value in you because you would be considered a whore to him. Next up is Common. Now, Common has been doing a lot of the work, it seems. He's been doing quite a few interviews based off of his book. He's worked through some of his childhood traumas, and he identified the cycle of the Madonna whore cycle just without those terms. He talked about how many relationships he would be in with amazing women who were perfect and fine, and he kept finding something wrong. He kept self-sabotaging because that's that cycle. You get in a relationship, you start to get intimate, you start to get close, and then it's too much. It's too much, and then now you can't sexually want them. So then he had to go and start all over again, and he kept doing this until he finally hit a wall and realized, it's me. I have something going on. And I really hope that that's something his therapist touched on, is the fact that he is suffering from a Madonna whore complex. And lastly, Wale. Wale just came out with an album, and he did an interview, and they were talking about his new girlfriend and his baby mother. That's a classic Madonna whore type of dynamic. But what I'm noticing is Wale has all this respect for his child's mother, but he doesn't want to seek an intimate relationship with her. She just serves that purpose. And he has his girl, who could quote unquote be considered a whore because she's a model. And by those standards, she isn't with child. She's 22, she's young, she's vibrant, she's strong. And the way he describes her, she would be considered the whore. So those are 3 men in the black media that definitely display a Madonna whore complex. Now I want to get into couples in the industry and how we as regular people can look at these couples and identify these harmful behaviors and not perpetuate them in our personal lives. My first example, Beyoncé and Jay-Z. Now, I don't want anybody to get upset because I'm a Beyoncé stan and I'm a Jay-Z fan. He is one of my favorite artists. But we're not here to talk about their entertainment acumen. We're here to talk about the interpersonal relationship between the two. Beyoncé has displayed within her music over the years that Jay-Z is not faithful, that, we do have songs like Resentment. We do have songs like Why Don't You Love Me? And we do have songs in which Beyoncé is proclaimed by Jay-Z as his Madonna. Like, I want to say on That's My Bitch on Watch the Throne, he's like, we need some black Madonnas in the MoMA. You know, like he embodies what it means to be a man and to have a Madonna whore complex, because it took all the way up until 444 for him to see that women are multifaceted, that we aren't, to be placed in these two little boxes. And for the longest time, I felt as if he did that to Beyoncé, and she was his Madonna. And he went and he frolicked with some whores, because it's that cycle. You get bored, you get content. That level of routine in a committed relationship is a buzzkill for a man with a Madonna whore complex, because physically he can't be turned on. He's not turned on by you because you're the mother of his kids. Ew, that's how they look at it. So I don't know what happened in their relationship, what type of therapy they went through, but that's something that I have noticed, that the Carters definitely embody a stereotypical, Madonna whore complex, in which Beyoncé tends to gravitate more towards the Madonna. That's why she started experimenting with certain qualities after the marriage and getting more into her sexual power. Because if you pay attention to Beyoncé's career, you can kind of see how she internalized a lot of what was going on in the relationship within her music. She went into the whole I am Sasha Fierce phase, and you saw her kind of be more soft. She's proclaiming, I'm scared of lonely. She's compartmentalizing herself versus the diva, and trying to really battle out between the two of who's going to win. And what I think Beyoncé learned with I Am Sasha Fierce is that you can't choose. You can't choose. So from then on, her music has been a holistic experience for her. And I feel that Beyoncé worked through a lot of taking the responsibility off herself to play into whatever Jay-Z or even the world thinks of her, and really being a woman who can be both, who doesn't have to choose, where her personhood isn't erased from her experience here as a woman, especially as a black woman. So I want to commend Beyoncé for rejecting that as of late, and rejecting the notion of having to either be a Madonna or a whore to be seen as worthy in any aspect of life. Next up, we have Aisha and Stephen Curry. They are a stereotypical Madonna whore relationship as well, in which Aisha has taken on the Madonna role entirely, to the point that she has internalized it, to the point that she has even weaponized it against women she perceives to be whores. I don't know if anyone has watched the Red Table Talk, but she really expressed her struggle with it. And I'm sure she didn't realize what she was doing, but she was revealing how trapped she feels at being just a mother and being just a wife. She spoke about wanting to be seen as attractive, wanting to be lusted after. And what that tells me is that she's not getting that at home. Steph Curry is not sexualizing her at all. She wants to be sexualized. That's why she's out here now. She has a stylist, or she's dressing a little bit more, her age. She's trying to reject the matronly aspect while still holding on to the aspects that suit her best. So I really want to commend it to her as well for trying to break out of that. I know it's very hard for her, seeing as though she's almost a carbon copy of Mama Curry. I don't know if you guys watch the Red Table Talk, and if you haven't, I definitely suggest you do, because it is a typical case study in the effects of being in a relationship in which a man does have a Madonna whore complex. And it shows that it's not necessarily always a negative relationship that results in a man having a Madonna whore complex. You know, he doesn't always have to hate his mom. He exalts his mother. You know, she is that Madonna. She is that perfect woman. So any woman that comes, you know, close to him has to be on that level to be seen as worthy. So it's really interesting to see how the Currys, as a family, might I say, embody what it means to put the Madonna over the whore, and how it's translated into their relationships and the pressures that all those women have to deal with when it comes to their men and their infidelities. So that is another example. And last but certainly not least, we have Kanye West and Kim Kardashian West. Now, I don't know if any of you have seen the recent clip, but if you haven't, definitely search that up. And you will see a conversation in which Kim is basically telling Kanye, just because you are this holy roller now, doesn't mean I ain't a hoe no more. That's basically what it came down to. And that is typical textbook Madonna whore complex if I ever seen it a day in my life. We have a man here who loved the whore. He found the whore exciting. It gave him everything that he couldn't get in those meaningful relationships that he had prior to her. They have had kids. She has Kim Kardashian, and she's a Libra, so she's able to do stuff like this and do it flawlessly. She has been able to embody both the Madonna and the whore. She's not playing sides. Her whore side is what gets her attention and gets her money, but that woman has multiple children. She's taking care of her family. She's nurturing. She's passive at the same time. So she definitely balances those two roles. And it's funny that after many, many years together, Kanye West now wants her to become her final form of Madonna. And she's resisting that. So I just find that so funny. It tickles me so much. But it's just another example in the media and just in their relationships that people are going through this every day in their relationships and don't even realize it. So now that you know what a Madonna whore complex is, where it comes from, how to identify it, and what ways we see it in mainstream media, I kind of want to give everybody a call of action and let you guys know that there is something that you can do about it. You don't have to just take this information and sit with it. There are ways that you can go about your life and combat the prevalence of the Madonna whore complex, as well as its impact on you and your life and relationships. For the men, I definitely want to stress therapy. I want to stress going to therapy and talking to a trained professional in which you won't be judged for these views. It's very hard for men to admit that, hey, I have these trash views on women and I don't know what to do about it. So I don't want you to go and, talk to a girl about it that you want to date, or your girlfriend or your wife, because it's not her job to try to help to fix you. You need to go out there and do the work on your own. So I definitely recommend men going to therapy, telling their therapist, hey, I recognize these traits in myself and I'm not happy in relationships and I don't know why I can't stay happy for a long time. Can you help me? And your therapist will give you tools in order to go about combating your Madonna whore complex, because like I said, everybody doesn't have the same type of Madonna whore complex. Yes, you can have a Madonna whore complex in which your mother was neglectful or was not nurturing, or you could have one in which your mother was so perfect that you only see women in that light and everybody else is undesirable. Do you catch my drift? So you have to take responsibility for your individual mental health and the health of your relationships, guys. I'm so serious. It's pinnacle for your happiness and longevity. I can't tell you how many men are out here on multiple relationships, multiple marriages, multiple children, because they haven't recognized these traits in themselves of always trying to find a home and never feeling comfortable to stay in that home. So therapy is number one for guys. For women, I want you to reject it. I don't want you to feel like you have to prove your worth to a man by how much you cook, how much you clean, or how much you have sex, or how sexy you can be to him. You have to reject those stereotypes in your everyday life. You have to show men that you are multifaceted, and you cannot hide parts of yourself thinking that, this guy is going to act right if I only show him these parts. No, if a guy cannot honor you in your totality, if he can't love you at your hoe and your housewife, then he's not the guy for you. And if he can't recognize that these traits are toxic, you have to take yourself out of the situation. But what I hate to see, and it happens a lot in social media, is that women get to attacking one another. Well, if it wasn't for these hoes, if it wasn't for these pick-me's, and it's pinning each other against one another. And this goes against feminism, this goes against womanism. This is not what we want. And this is not how we seek freedom and seek power and responsibility as a culture. And last but not least, as far as relationships go, if you are in a relationship with a man and you love him, you're already committed, or you're married, or you have children with him already, and you don't want to leave him, there are ways that you can try to help him through that Madonna whore complex, but I definitely recommend that you recommend therapy, as well as doing these tips that I'm going to give you now. When it comes to the Madonna whore complex, we have to remember that desire and adoration and love, that's where the battle is. So you have to figure out a way in which your partner sees that, hey, I'm desirable too. As much as you love me, you should want to have sex with me too. You should want to touch me too. And ways that you do this is by kind of upping up your sexual nature. If you're having trouble with a guy that's kind of like falling off on the sexy route, wear lingerie, take sexy pictures, explore some of you guys' sexual kinks together. Ask him about his kinks, because what happens is men who are in those types of relationships and are not satisfied sexually, they will either go seek out a whore physically and cheat, or they might seek solace elsewhere and escape via porn. So you want to kind of explore like what he's missing sexually and how you can possibly integrate that within the relationship to have a healthy balance of that nurturing aspect and the sensual sexual aspect, which that can also include role playing and sex toys. But what you want to do is destroy the monotony and some of the predictability of it. You don't want to be so reliable, because in that reliability, in that, I always say guys like a little bit of toxicity in women. And this is why I'm not so hard on my ladies, because I understand it. Guys want a little bit of spice. They want a little bit of fire. They want a little bit of danger. It's something in their spirit, especially ones that have the Madonna whore complex, where they don't know why. They just want the danger. So you have to figure out ways to give it to them if you deem this person worth it. But all in all, I would definitely recommend you steer away from that and really focus on the healing aspect and getting to the root of the issue, because the responsibility is never on the woman. It's always on the man to go out and get the help that he needs. Just like if a woman was, dealing with the complex on her own, I would expect her to go out and get the help that she needed as well. I just want to thank everyone that listened to this entire podcast / YouTube cast / whatever. Thank you so much for listening. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. If you have any comments, please leave them in the comment box. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. I'm new to YouTube, so I'll be here doing all of that. As well as any topics that you feel like I should cover, or any questions that you have in your life that you feel like can be explained or expounded on within the scope of Black femininity. So thank you so much for tuning in to The Fine Feminine. My name is Naira, and I'll see you next time.